Josh Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN. And you know what this weekend is. It's WrestleMania weekend. And for ESPN, they have a crazy presence in Las Vegas throughout the weekend, not just because it's on ESPN Unlimited, which I have, by the way. It's also ESPN 2, Saturday night, 6 o'clock. ESPN, Sunday night, 6 o'clock. And don't forget, WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony exclusively on the ESPN app, as well as WWE Countdown and post shows also on the app. And joining us right now to talk more about WrestleMania 42, it's Andreas Hale. Of course, he covers combat sports and pro wrestling for ESPN. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man. It's a very, very busy week.
It is a very, very busy week. And I kind of want to start big picture with you and then zero back in, okay? For you, looking at WrestleMania 42, for me, it's felt like a very long road to WrestleMania. We're finally getting to the nuts and bolts, right? No more talk, no more all the other stuff, right? For you, when you look at WrestleMania 42, there's a lot of first-time participants, right? There's a lot of big names that are being brought in for this weekend. Big picture for you, what are you looking at when you walk in to watch WrestleMania 42? Your takeaway, you think this weekend is going to be what?
It's about the future. I think you kind of mentioned it. There's a lot of first-timers this year. Yeah, of course, we got CM Punk, Roman Reigns. We got Randy Orton chasing 15. We got Cody Rhodes. But then you got Javon Evans. You got Obafemi. Like, it feels like they're setting up their future through this event. You got to have the well-established stars and the big names. But I think the biggest issue with WWE for the past maybe half decade is they haven't established a new young talent that should be a main eventer. Obafemi has that opportunity this weekend. If Braun Breaker wasn't hurt, he'd probably have that opportunity this weekend. So I think it's really setting up for the future more than anything else.
You mentioned about Obafemi. Let's hit on that first, because this whole storyline with him and Brock Lesnar, right? And, my boss, he's kind of like one of those casual WWE guys, right? And he's asking me, he's like, what's an Obafemi? Who's Obafemi? And so what I did was I showed him, the first showdown when Oba basically, puts Brock almost through the mat. And my boss is like, oh, now I get it. Because I feel like when you see him next to Brock, that's the difference. And for me, I love this storyline where you really don't know who's going to win on Sunday when that is on ESPN, right? We don't really know, is it going to be the Beast? Is it going to be the Ruler? You really have no idea.
No, and I think that's the best part about it. I think for the first time, maybe since Brock Lesnar first showed up on the scene, we've had an imposing force that immediately felt like he should have the rocket strapped to his back and sent to the moon, right? WWE has fumbled bigger talents before when they've come in. This is almost can't miss with Obafemi. And you're putting him in there with Lesnar at WrestleMania, and Oba's been with the company for what? Outside of NXT, 6 months? Not even that, since his debut. There is a huge opportunity here. And I know we're saying we don't know who wins, but I'm going to tell you who should win. It should be Obafemi. Like, you got to set up the future now. Brock's on his way out. But if Brock's going to put somebody over, that's who you put over at WrestleMania. That's how you set up the future.
My only restraint is that semi-promo that Heyman cut at Raw, right? That was kind of a little too much, right? It felt a little bit too much butter being put on the bread there. And so that's why there's a part of me that wonders, do they set it up to let Lesnar win maybe by a technicality or something? And then Lesnar's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm leaving again for a year. And then Oba can go on and maybe have a run at a SummerSlam for a belt or something.
I mean, it's possible, but I think if you want to establish Obafemi, he has to go over on Brock Lesnar clean. Like, it's the only way to do it. It's not like Brock hasn't done this before. He's put over Seth Rollins clean. He's lost clean before. And the bigger thing is, talk about SummerSlam, it's in Minneapolis, which is Brock Lesnar's home, which could be his retirement match, right? So if he loses now, you send Brock Lesnar on this warpath and set him up for SummerSlam for his retirement match. The best way to do it, to set him off on a warpath, is losing to somebody like Obafemi. So they have an opportunity here, again, to establish somebody. Brock Lesnar doesn't need the win. He just doesn't. He's just a guy that's been a menace for so many years in pro wrestling. He's lost. He's won. But he's made Oba look like $1 million. Letting Oba stand on his chest, pointing at the WrestleMania sign. If anybody looked, you kind of see Brock like mouthing to Oba, like, hey, man, put your foot on my chest. Make this look good. I think he knows he's putting this guy over. I don't even care about the match quality itself. I expect two big meaty men bumping meat, throwing each other around, 12-minute match with a big finish. It ain't going to be a 5-star wrestling match, but I think it sets up everything. But Brock doesn't need to win this. He doesn't.
Well, they also need to get it done in time because they got the Intercontinental Championship coming on right after that. They want those guys to have fun, flying all over the ring. They don't want to cramp their style by having Brock and Oba taking up too much time. So I think you're right about the time there. Andreas Hale joining us here, of course, covers combat sports and pro wrestling for ESPN. Joining us as WrestleMania is this weekend. ESPN Unlimited, the first hour each night of WrestleMania. Saturday night, ESPN 2. Sunday, ESPN Regular. You mentioned a little bit earlier, probably the biggest match of the weekend is the CM Punk Roman Reigns. I don't even want to call it a fight. I feel like it's more of like a spite match. Like that whole promo they cut on Raw the other night where they're like, I hate you because of this, and I hate you because of this. Like, it's almost turning into like the fans don't even know whose side to take.
It felt like therapy, right? Like I felt like that final promo segment was therapy between these two. Like, I hate you because you're all the things I couldn't have been, and I hate you because you're all the things that I couldn't have been. Let's sit on the couch and let's have somebody iron this out for us, right? But I think we got a really interesting match in the sense that CM Punk has waited a long time for this opportunity. Like, he's holding the title belt in the main event at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns has headlined WrestleMania, it feels like a million times, right? Ultimately, I'd like to see CM Punk walk away with the title. Roman doesn't need it. Just like Brock, he doesn't need it. He's a star through and through. But the bigger thing is what you hit the head on. I don't know who's the face and who's the heel. It feels like CM Punk is the face, but Roman still gets babyface cheers. So entering this match, who's going to be the weasel to try to cheat and get their way, and who's going to play it straight up? Maybe neither. We know the best version of CM Punk is heel CM Punk. We know the best version of Roman is heel Roman. Yet they're both baby faces in this match. So I'm very interested in how this plays out. I won't say it'll be match of the night because I got that reserved for something else. But I think the outcome is very intriguing. I think the build has felt like one big, long therapy session between a guy who changed the industry forever in CM Punk and a guy who kind of rode that wave to the next level, which was Roman Reigns.
You mentioned about the therapy part. I got to ask you, as someone you've seen a lot of things in entertainment over the years, right? I know you used to work in, a lot of the music industry as well. So when you're seeing a guy like CM Punk go on that rant a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of breaking that fourth wall and talking about the company, and we saw the previous week where, McAfee and Rose about the company, like, what is your take on this? Because for me, my mind immediately goes back to the corporation 25 years ago, right? Where, like, are we potentially going down a company versus anti-hero road kind of situation?
I don't know, man. It's hard to call because CM Punk has always felt like the Seattle garage band, right? Like, that breaks out and gets signed to a big record label and then takes off. And then some people hate him because they're like, you sold out. Well, other people is like, no, he opened the door for all of us. And I feel like that's always been CM Punk wherever he's been. But even now, it feels like CM Punk is closer to being corporate than he's been being a rebel. So I'm not sure exactly where the storyline is heading. And Triple H's long-term beef with CM Punk has been one thing, and they've played it out. It seems like they've hashed all of this out. But I'm very curious of how we play this anti-establishment role because, again, I have to reiterate, the best version of Punk isn't this version. It's the heel version of Punk that is like cool, cutting edge, and cuts promos on everybody. I just don't know. Even if he wins, do you realign him with Paul Heyman? Like, what is the plan here? I'm very curious. I don't know.
Let me ask you this, because I just thought of this. How much do you think the Netflix Unreal show has impacted maybe some of this? Like, how much of us, not just the people who cover this, not people who are just the diehards, but now the casual person. Paul Heyman, remember he complained in the one episode about how I hate this show. You're pulling the curtain back. Like, the whole point of wrestling has always been, at least for me, and you can tell me if you feel it differently. For me, it's always been that like fine line between what's real and what's not, right? And so now with that show, now that question becomes amplified. Do you think maybe some of this storyline is maybe playing off of that?
A little bit. It's a good question because, like, As much as I enjoy Unreal, and I've been, I've covered pro wrestling for years and been behind the curtain for years. Like I've seen some of the things that other people don't see. It's an interesting show that kind of blends reality with what the WWE wants to show you, right? So I think there's a narrative here that's like, well, we can use this to try to figure out how our storyline should play out, to blur that line. Obviously, we're going to get another season of Unreal, so I'm sure that plays into it. And, if people saw Roman Reigns' interview on social media, writing in the back of the car, and I think everything that they've done a better job outside of the ring of building some of these matches than in, because it feels more authentic, right? And even Unreal.
I'm so glad you said that, because like I said before we got into this, like it's the idea, like this Road to WrestleMania, I feel like the longest Road to WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah.
Like, does it not? Like, it almost feels like it's like, all right, here we go, another week trying to stretch this feud out.
It's felt like, all right, let's just be honest. It's been a clunky build to WrestleMania, right? It just has. Aside from Oba and Brock, everything has had its start and stops. Very clunky matches that were put together, and it feels like some of the builds haven't been very straightforward. Drew McIntyre losing the title felt weird, the way they played that. Randy Orton, the Pat McAfee stuff, we don't even need to go there. Like, we already know how strange that is. So it felt very clunky, but then you look at the press runs that some of the talent has done, and they've done a better job telling stories than when I watched Raw or SmackDown. So the intrigue is interesting because the authenticity of their interviews outside of the ring have felt cleaner than what's been going on inside of the ring. So when you ask about Unreal, it's like the blend between those two things are influencing narratives and storylines. And I don't know how much creative has to deal with, okay, let's lean into the reality a little bit. Then there's the corporate side of it, the TKO side of it, who I feel like is responsible for injecting the celebrities into this. And what do they want out of it? There's a lot of hands in the pot right now, and I don't know who wins at the end of the day when it comes to the outcomes on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, I think a perfect example, talking with Andreas Hale from ESPN, talking about WrestleMania 42 this weekend, ESPN Unlimited, ESPN 2, 6 p.m. is the start on Saturday night, ESPN Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, Sunday night at 6 p.m. I think a blurring of that real and unreal, a perfect example, is this whole Liv Morgan, Stephanie Vaquer situation. For those who might have watched SportsCenter this week, Liv is walking around with no makeup, with those bruises on her face from that whole situation. Now, listen, anyone who watched it knows she didn't get the bruise literally from Stephanie's attack. That was more of her and Roxanne clunking heads, right? But still, like, Liv is really leaning into it, right? She's like, I'm going to go do these interviews. I ain't going to wear makeup. You're going to see the bruises on my face. I think that match is a perfect example of, like, if you're the fan walking in, unless you have a specific side, right? Unless you were like a diehard Liv or a diehard Stephanie fan, the rest of everybody else is kind of like, I don't even know who I want to win because I kind of got a beef with both of these women.
Yeah, and I think that the beauty of the Liv Morgan situation is very reminiscent of Becky Lynch getting her nose broken by Nia Jax and the blood streaming down her face. And that was the precursor to her becoming the man, right?
Right.
Liv Morgan's taking a very real situation and is like, let's not dress this up. Let me go do these interviews with this knot on my head and these black eyes, right? Let's not put on makeup. And it makes you more interested in the match. Like, I saw people on clips on her interview on Sports Day was like, that's not real. That lump is real, right? Like that, she got real bruises, but to lean into it, the authenticity of it all, I'm sure people are going to cheer for Liv Morgan anyway at WrestleMania, but I think it's added another element to the match. And I will say the promos these two cut on each other on Monday, the fighting that they had was excellent. It's an excellent way to build to that match, but you have to lean into the real a lot of the times to draw people in, especially on ESPN, where we're a sports network. Right. But there's a lot of new people that are going to be like, what is this? It's the first time I've ever seen this. So you got to make it feel as real as possible.
By the way, we are 97.3 ESPN South Jersey. So a a lot of people in our area are rooting for Liv Morgan because she's a New Jersey girl. Speaking of another New Jersey woman, let's talk about AJ Lee, her feud with Becky Lynch. You mentioned Becky earlier. I don't know what to do with this match because I feel like you could, this is, again, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's another match where you could make an argument for both sides. AJ wins, feud is over, she moves on. Or you give Becky back the belt and now Becky can go do something else. Like, I feel like there's so many ways you can go with this.
Yeah, I guess the real question is AJ Lee here for a long time or just a good time? right? If her contract suggests that she has a lot more matches to deal with, I think she holds on to the title. But if she's not here for a long time, drop it to Becky and let Becky run with it. She's been like a Looney Tunes character the past couple of months. Like her interviews have felt very animated. I need Becky to get back to that raw, real Becky that we had when she was the man. This feud is intriguing because I like Becky Lynch and I like AJ Lee and I like the idea of the past and the present who paved the way. Their segment was really good on Raw, but we need some firm direction between these two coming out of this match. And I feel like if AJ's here to stay, then okay, it's fine and she can win, but I needed to set Becky on another path. I don't need the animated. Sports Illustrated calls me I don't need that. What I need from Becky Lynch is the one who was cutting everybody down, who was the man. That's who I need. I need that raw element of Becky Lynch, but it really dictated on how long AJ Lee is going to be here.
Yeah, it definitely does. Speaking of people who I need some clarity, there's one match this weekend that annoys the ever-living you-know-what out of me. And it's not because I have a problem with any of the people involved, but you just used the term, made me think of this. I need some direction for these people, right? I don't know if
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you do and maybe you don't. The women's tag team match, the fatal four-way. You know, I am so over this contrived, forced, trying to make all of them go against each other. Anyone who's on social media knows most of these women are all friends, right? Like the fans know. They know Bayley. They know Charlotte. They know Alexa. They know the Bella twins. Like creating this I can't wait for this match to be over so I can move all of my life.
Yeah, this match, I mean, the way it's come together, like you felt like when Charlotte and Alexa Bliss were a tag team, that was like, oh, we're on the road to a breakup, right? Like that's just a natural direction of a tag team. It was like, oh, we're doing this longer now? Well, why are the Bella twins here? Wait a second. Nia Jackson, wait, in Last Legend of the Champs, wait, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria are still a tag team? What is going on here? I have no idea. And for me personally, this is just me personally, get this match out of here. I wish we had a pre-show that had matches. No disrespect to these women, but I wish we had a pre-show that had matches, and then we could put Io Sky and Asuka in like a cage match because you've been building that story for almost a year. How do you not pay it off at WrestleMania, given what Io Sky did at last year's WrestleMania and how good Asuka is in the ring? Yet we have this really contrived and confusing tag match, and you know it's going to be clunky. 8 women in a tag match. It could be 8 men in a tag match. This has nothing to do with gender. It's just They're just clunky this way. They don't work out. Unless you put some tables, ladders, and chairs in there, and you're not. So we're just going to get a very weird tag match that I don't necessarily care about. Kudos to the girls. I hope they work hard, but man, give me Io Sky and Asuka.
And I'm glad you said that because like last year I felt at WrestleMania, one of the best matches the whole weekend involved the women.
Hands down.
Was the Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, all those women in that. I mean, it's just like pure psycho athleticism on display. And now, but there's too many women in this situation. So like no one has really a chance to shine. It's like, how do I not run into you?
I don't know how this match works. Maybe they'll surprise us, but I don't think it's going to be a long match. I don't know which
interesting.
I don't think the storylines, I mean, there are other storylines in this match that I'm trying to make sense out of, which is Charlotte and Alexa and Bayley and Lyra. The Bella twins, I don't know why they're even in this match. Great, I'm glad they're here, but why are we doing this? I don't understand what we're doing here, and why do we have this as your tag team title match again, where you could have had like the Usos and Logan Paul and Austin Theory straight up if you wanted to. Where are the Street Profits? What are they doing these days? Like, what is going on with the men's tag division? It's this one just feels like a complete mess.
I think that's where we go with the final point, which is you mentioned about the Usos, the Vision kind of against each other. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the idea of LA Knight with the Usos against the Vision, but like sliding ISO Speed in there, just that is just the weirdest thing in the world. And I hate to put it this way, I just hope he doesn't get hurt.
You know what? I think ISO Speed is going to actually have a really great showing at WrestleMania. The kid is really athletic. The kid is really athletic. But to your point, LA Knight deserves better. right? Like LA Knight was over like a rover, and we couldn't get this man to win a Money in the Bank, a title match, or nothing. And he shoved into this Usos thing when I just remembered, weren't they super kicking each other not too long ago? Right. And now they're friends. And the Vision, which is like the eye patch now, because it's like a part of a vision. It's not 2020 anymore. It's a little contrived, a little confusing. And they're having this match to get over a YouTuber with another YouTuber. Credits to Logan Paul. He's been great in the ring. He's exceeded expectations, but this is a very, very weird match. And it feels like a way it's like, let's just get some influencers in the match and sell it on social media. All right, fine. That's what you want to do. Go for it.
I feel like also this is a perfect opportunity for the surprise of the weekend, which is Tom Brady show up and interfere.
Oh, God, no. Please. I don't want that. I don't want that.
It's in Vegas.
I know. I live in Vegas, Raiders, Tom Brady. I get it. I just don't want it. I don't want it. But if they do it, I totally understand why, right? I'm a purist when it comes to pro wrestling. You can give me some goo-goo and gaga here and there, but I don't need Tom Brady walking in, interfering, and throwing a really bad punch in the match. No, thank you. If you want real pro wrestling, this is my match of the weekend. It's my sleeper match of the weekend is Gunther and Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Gunther and Seth Rollins, to me, is understated and not talked about, just like when Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels wrestled at WrestleMania 21. And it ended up being one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time that nobody talked about heading into. It was like, oh, cool, these two legends are going against each other. I think Rollins and Gunther will be your match of the night. I don't need no nonsense. Those two need to just beat the crap out of each other. That's what I'm talking about when I love pro wrestling. All the other stuff, cool, but give me bangers. Give me 20-minute bangers between the ropes. That's what I'm looking for.
This is the one you just mentioned. This is the one I feel most confident about. I think I know the outcome.
Really?
Seth Rollins is going to win, and it's going to launch him for the rest of the year. I think that it's the idea of Gunther's going to walk in acting like he's the career killer, right? He keeps ending people's careers, and then Rollins is going to, quote-unquote, end him kind of thing.
May I retort? Let me give you what I think. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Gunther's goes over. Here's why. He's lost to underdogs in 2 consecutive WrestleManias. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, right? 2 people he shouldn't have lost to, but nevertheless, it happened. He's been on this career-ending tour. He asked Paul Heyman for a favor, in which we don't know what it is. Gunther going over sets up Gunther retiring Brock Lesnar in Minneapolis at SummerSlam, because that's the favor that he wants.
Very interesting. I could totally see Gunther retiring Lesnar for sure. I just feel like Rollins has so much like untapped potential. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Look, we have a piece coming out on ESPN about it's a roundtable discussing WrestleMania, and I say it in my piece, so I'm not spoiling anything. I said I think Seth Rollins is this generation's Mr. WrestleMania, right? Shawn Michaels was that guy because no matter where you put him on the card, mostly main events, he always showed out. Seth Rollins doesn't have bad matches. We've put him with Logan Paul. He didn't have a bad match. We put him with Kevin Owens during the pandemic. Didn't have a bad match. The opener that nobody talks about with Finn Balor and The Miz was an absolute banger. Him cashing in Money in the Bank. He always has these moments. I think, but still, there's a level that I haven't seen Seth Rollins hit that we all know that he can. Right? When we talk about pro wrestling, we look outside of the industry, outside of WWE, you look at the Will Ospreays of the world, AJ Styles with his run in TNA. Seth Rollins is that good in the ring. And I think we might get the best version of Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And I think he's also a guy who doesn't need to win because he's that good. But to your point, like, I want to see him shine. I'm a big Gunther fan. I've loved him when he was Walter and running at Progress at GCW. If I want him to finally stop losing at WrestleMania, I need him to win, and I want him to end Brock Lesnar's career. That's what I want.
Maybe we both get what we want. Maybe Gunther can end Brock Lesnar's career and Rollins can win on WrestleMania, and we're both happy. How about that?
That works for me.
He's Andreas Hale. Check out all of his coverage of combat sports and the WWE over at ESPN.com. Don't forget, WrestleMania this weekend. It starts Saturday night. Tonight, ESPN 2. Tomorrow night, Obafemi, Brock Lesnar, ESPN. Of course, for all the matches, you want to get that ESPN Unlimited. Andreas, such a fun conversation. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.